Welcome back to Ballet Bites, your daily 10-minute deep dives into all things ballet and beyond. We're diving into some of the hottest developments of 2025, like Diaghilev's revival moments and the ever-evolving interplay between ballet and fashion.
Oh, absolutely. Super exciting stuff. Diaghilev is, really making waves again, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. On June 19th, 2025, the English National Ballet, inside the V&A East Storehouse, revived Le Train Bleu with all the glamour. Picasso curtains, Chanel connections, the whole package. And, oh man, the Financial Times called it tight and witty, honoring the 1924 classic while, bringing that fresh 2025 vibe.
Wow. It must have been like a cultural cocktail, a mix of history and modern flair, right?
Exactly. It's like, a rebirth. The old and the new colliding. And then, fashion totally steps in. Remember Chanel's Haute Couture show on January 23rd, 2024? They leaned hard into ballet aesthetics, with tutus, leotards, even ballet flats. This was marking a century since Coco Chanel's first foray with the Ballets Russes. AP News literally described it as a ballet on the runway.
That's such a vivid image. Fashion and ballet, talk about a perfect pas de deux.
Right on. And then there's the musical side. Ravel's Daphnis et Chloé is making its rounds with the National Symphony Orchestra and Brussels Philharmonic, reinforcing that the Diaghilev engine is still revving up.
It just goes to show how legacy and innovation can perform in harmony. But then, we've got these 5 big questions at the heart of it all.
Let's dive in. The first big question is about balancing faithful reconstructions with culturally sensitive updates, especially with challenges like the problematic character portrayal in Petrushka, with its historical blackface elements.
Yep. So, on one hand, you have the imperative to keep history intact, but the risk of perpetuating outdated stereotypes, it's, a tightrope walk.
Exactly. Now, some companies argue that a historically informed, reconstruction serves as a kind of scholarly artifact. However, others, like the Scottish Ballet, have clearly said, no way, blackface is unacceptable. And that clarity is crucial to move forward.
I get that, but isn't there a risk that too many changes dilute the original artistic intent?
Well, that's the thing. It's all about context. You can keep the structure, but redesign the portrayal so that it becomes, more culturally sensitive. Some have, for instance, reframed the narrative, or even commissioned entirely new ballets that sidestep those historical minefields.
Yes, that makes sense. It's a balancing act. A bit like adjusting a vintage suit to modern tastes without losing its character.
Exactly. And then there's question 2. What does authentic Ballets Russes visual language mean in 2025? Can we preserve the legacy of Bakst and Roerich while inviting contemporary brands and designers to riff off that aesthetic?
Yeah, that's a head-scratcher. In many ways, authenticity might be a little bit of both, right? Preserving the original DNA, but also, letting in new blood with intentional design choices.
Yep, absolutely. Look at the Morgan Library exhibition, Crafting the Ballet Russe, in 2024. It put original materials, librettos, design sketches, on display so that people could really see the source DNA. Meanwhile, fashion houses like Chanel are co-creating rather than just borrowing, combining couture-level design with dance.
But isn't there a danger that the brand-first theatrics might overpower the dance itself? I mean, if a costume fights the movement instead of complementing it, what's the point?
Hey, I totally agree. It's a point of contention. If the silhouette ends up impeding a développé or, drowning up, then it's missing the mark. That's why designers must remember. Design should serve dancers.
Absolutely. Now, question 3 shifts our focus to music. Specifically, how to program iconic scores by Stravinsky, Debussy, and Ravel. Should these scores breathe first in full concert halls or on stage with dancers?
Yes, this is really fascinating. There's this model where orchestras first present the complete score in a concert hall to prime the audience, and then pair with a local ballet company for a danced run. Daphnis et Chloé works so well that way. Imagine the powerful orchestration setting the stage for the narrative that follows.
That modular approach really gives audiences multiple ways to experience the same piece, doesn't it? Like a buffet of art, where you can sample different formats.
Exactly. It's all about repertoire elasticity. And then, programs can even cross over into film and advertising, making those timeless scores a kind of gateway to ballet for newcomers.
Right.
Moving on to question 4, the Rite of Spring arms race. With over 200 versions around the globe, what's a new version really worth?
Yeah, that's interesting. Why churn out a new version unless it brings something truly novel to the table?
Exactly. The new takes often ask fresh questions. What does sacrifice look like today? Does power shift in ways we hadn't imagined? And there's this idea that if the narrative feels too predictable, the audience just tunes out. You need stakes, compelling casting, and sometimes even live music to amp up the drama.
I love that idea. The new version should force us to question everything, not just recycle a tired formula.
Absolutely. And don't forget the cross-cultural collaborations. For instance, Pina Bausch's Rite, with artists from 14 African countries, brought a fresh, thunderous impact that radically shifted the lived experience of the score.
Right on.
And finally, question 5 is about investment strategy. Should companies commit to full reconstructions? Or can they, build flexible toolkits to keep these titles dynamic?
The hybrid model seems smart, one that preserves the scholarly appeal of a complete reconstruction every so often, but, uses toolkit approaches in between to keep the conversation alive on a budget.
Exactly. Full reconstructions come with educational heft and can attract significant funding, especially when tied to exhibitions or centennial celebrations. But then, toolkits with refreshed dramaturgy, updated costumes, and streamlined orchestration give regional companies the freedom to stage classics without overcommitting resources.
Yep, exactly. It's like having a fine art reproduction next to a modern remix. Both have value, but in different ways.
Definitely. And let's not forget those practical takeaways for artistic directors. 1. If you're staging Petrushka, be transparent about your reinterpretation. Publish a note to explain what's changed and why. That builds trust with your audience.
Right, candor is key. And 2, if you're involving fashion designers, pull them into rehearsals early so that the design truly complements the movement.
Absolutely. And 3, program the music beyond just the dance. Using a concert hall to feature pieces like Daphnis can prepare audiences for the full artistic experience later on.
Yeah. Then, for Rite of Spring, directors should pick a clear thematic lens, be it ecology, power, or ritual, and commit to it fully in their presentation.
Right on point. Lastly, document your process. A pre-show talk or rehearsal video can work wonders in demystifying your creative choices. Cite your sources, whether it's archival notations or coaching lineage. It's all about letting the scholarship shine through.
One thing, though, I do wonder if sometimes, in our zeal to update and bring in new elements, we risk losing what made the original so mesmerizing.
That's a fair critique, and honestly, it's a valid worry. But I think when updates feel dramatically necessary, they can actually strip away the baggage and, reveal a clearer, more dynamic narrative that truly resonates with today's audiences.
I see your point. It's definitely a tough balance, but that's what makes the conversation so rich. The Ballets Russes were all about fusing art forms fearlessly, and today's artists can do the same. Honor the history, but not be shackled by it.
Exactly. Imagine Picasso's curtains meeting modern cutouts, Chanel seams with practical movement. It's all about reimagining and breathing new life into old classics.
And with initiatives like these, we're not just reliving history, we're actively reshaping it for the present and future.
Absolutely. Whether it's through innovative reconstructions, thoughtful toolkits, or fresh takes on age-old repertoire, the goal is to keep the art form alive, vibrant, and, meaningful.
Well said. And for our listeners, if any of these ideas spark your creative fire, remember, it's all about building seasons that honor the past, yet engage with today's world.
Totally. Thanks for joining in on this deep dive. Now go out there and let history inspire something new.